Hello and welcome everyone to the Bare Bones Fishing YouTube channel. My name is Mike. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today I wanted to take a little bit of time to do a review of a cordless fillet knife that I purchased earlier this season. Yeah, it's my first one ever, and I just wanted to do a quick review on it because I've had maybe 3 months with it now. I've filleted a lot of fish with it and just wanted to give you some of my honest opinion about it. The knife that I'm talking about is the Rapala R12. This kit came with a set of blades, charger, extra battery, and then obviously the knife itself. And this is a really nice rig. Lithium batteries, and so it lasts a long time. So here you have your battery gauge. Here you have a locking function, so I can push this in and lock it and it'll just continue running. And so anyway, this is the pièce de résistance, and we're gonna give it a whirl. But like I said, came with this case, which is really nice. It actually has there's a few other things that you can get which hook up to this battery as well. I was gifted a lantern that you can use this battery for. Nice Rapala lantern. So anyways, let's clean some fish with this thing and see how it does. So this thing is fantastic. So with the small ones, this is what I'll generally do. So one on that side on an angle, one on that side on an angle. I generally like to make sure that the wings are cut. And then what I'm going to do is go down right through the ribs, all the way down following the spine. Then when I get to the tail, I flip it over, oops, and then pinch it down, skin it like that. And then because I'm going to be transporting these things, I trim off a little piece of skin, and there you have it. Oop, this guy's flopping around still a little bit. And then I do the same thing on the opposite side, down to the end of the tail, flip it over, down to the skin, cut that off there, and there you have it. And look at very minimal waste there. So you can see it does a real good job on the fillets. And then what I do here for the rib cage is simply go down it like that with the knife, trim that out, and trim this one out. And there you have it, my 2 fillets. So what I'm going to do now, just dunk them in the water real quick, give them a quick rinse, and there you have it. And so the only thing that so that's generally how I will fillet the fish. The only thing I might do a little bit different is on some of the larger ones. And actually, you know what, I'll show you on another one coming up here. Just tidy that up. So first thing we're going to do with this guy is we're actually going to take the cheeks out of them as well, the bigger ones. There he goes. We got one cheek. Flip it over. Another cheek. There we go. Okay, so the only thing that I do different on these ones, on the bigger ones, so I'm going to start with my similar cuts right here. Right here is I'm going to go from the anal vent down to that opening as well. So that's the only difference. That's the only thing I do different on the big ones. And what I'll do, and usually I'll also go all the way clean through on the big ones. The reason why I go clean through is because I just run out of space on my cutting board. Through. There you have it. Then we do the exact same thing here. Cut out the ribs, and we have a big chunk of skin on here. So what I'll do is also take off most of the skin So unfortunately at this point, the wind kind of kicked up and was hitting the microphone on my camera at the right angle, and it made it really hard to hear my voice. So I'm just going to kind of overdub what I was saying in the last little bit here. So in terms of overall feel, I really, really like this knife. It's nice and light. It fits really nicely in my hand. In terms of the controls, now I don't have any experience with the Bubba knife or any other style of fillet knife really, but I really like having the trigger on the thumb versus on the index finger. So you can see that the red button on the top there is the power button, which turns on the knife. I really like having it there versus where the index finger would be. My thought process there is that when I'm filleting, I'm usually pushing down instead of pulling up. And so if I'm pulling a trigger, I'm kind of pulling up on the knife a little bit. Anyway, it just seems like it'd be a little counterintuitive. I'm sure it's fine, but honestly, I really just like having the button where the thumb is. In terms of battery life, I will be able to usually get anywhere between, 50 to 75 fish, depending on how big they are. This knife cuts through the small ones really, really easily. If they're a little bit bigger, generally it bogs down a little bit, especially when you're trying to get through some of the rib cages. But these ones here, for example, these were pretty small. This fillet knife would be able to get through easily 50 to 75 of these size of fish without needing a battery charge. And remember, it comes with the 2 batteries as well. So once that one battery is done, you just flip in the other one. In terms of charging time, I think it's about maybe 2 hours to get a full charge, so not long at all. And like I said, the charge really does last a long time. And but the one thing I will say about the battery, last thing I'll say about the batteries, is that there is a very, very steep drop off in terms of power. So it's not like it gradually gets weaker, gets weaker, gets weaker. It pretty much, you can tell that it's getting weaker, and then all of a sudden it just kind of stops. Unlike, your traditional batteries, these lithiums, they kind of go and go and go and then just stop. It's not like things start to slow down gradually and you can kind of tell, oh, the battery's getting weak. So just be mindful of that. I'll mention, I guess, a couple of drawbacks of this knife now. I don't know if anybody else has had this issue, but I find that it will start to overheat after a while. So if you're filleting like a large number of fish, you just got to be wary of that, especially if you're getting through, if you've got a really good amount of big fish and you're cutting through a lot of those rib bones. This thing does have a tendency to get a little hot after a while, so you got to be very mindful of that. So another drawback to this style of knife is the cost. Now, these retail anywhere between $200 and $250 Canadian, which is probably like 2 nickels American, you lucky sons of guns. But anyway, in Canada, that's what we get to pay. And now that cost is pretty high. And honestly, if it weren't for the fact that I am running a business, and a business that I have to fillet a lot of fish in, I probably wouldn't buy one of these just for me personally. Like, if it was just me going out with some friends every once in a while and, hey, maybe we go out, a big group of us, and we manage to catch, a 3 or 4 man limit. If that's only happening every once in a while, I would just stick with a regular manual knife. But on the days where, I need to clean 24 fish, I get a little break, and then I got to clean another 24 fish, and I only have a certain amount of time to get all of that done, having something like this is really handy. It obviously does speed up the process quite a bit. And so, yeah, one of the drawbacks, like I said, is the cost for sure. If you're catching lots of fish all the time, it really is a handy tool to have. But if you're honestly just fishing on your own, or if it's just you and a buddy, usually, I don't know. I feel like that money could be, spent elsewhere. But that's just one thing to consider. It is an investment, and weigh the pros and cons of your own personal situation. Hey, if you've got the disposable income, go for it. But if it's not necessarily a need, I would say just stick with your standard knife. Okay, so there you have it, everybody. A little review of the Rapala R12. I really enjoy it. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions about it. Put them in the comments or reach out to me directly via email or on social media or something like that. Hope you're all doing well, and I will catch you on the next one.